Let's also go across to our correspondent Karishma Asudani, who's been tracking all these developments on ground. Karishma, what's the revival process for Air India looking like going forward?
Well, it's a change of guard at the helm, with the government, of course, transferring its shares to Tata Group's Talace, which now 100% owns Air India. Let me tell you, this is not a normal return, but it's a mega return. After 69 years, Air India Maharaja gets back to Tatas, and what a ride it has been. In fact, after the meeting today, Deepam Secretary, who played a key role in privatization and of course selling of Air India to Tata, also mentioned that they've received the binding rupees 2,700 crore and Tatas of course will take over the rest 15,000 crore that is a part of the transaction deal which was signed and executed well on October 8th last year. Now Tatas will be owning of course 3 airlines in the country, where they have 100% stake in Air India, followed by 50% in Vistara and about 83% in Air Asia. This also of course keeps a fresh new booming hope in the aviation market, keeping in mind the turbulence the sector had gone through.
All right, Karishma, thanks so much for joining us on that. We've also got Ameya Joshi with us, aviation expert, to give us a sense of how Tatas will bring back Air India. Ameya, what's it looking like? It's a huge task ahead of them. How do you see them working towards bringing Air India back on track?
It's one of the biggest questions which are being asked today, and it's going to be a very challenging task. Let's be honest. They have 2 airlines in which they have majority stake for the last 6 to 7 years, which have not been profitable. You had a chance to start as a clean slate and you couldn't make it profitable. So to take over this mountain of debt, the challenges which come with it, and then try and turn around is much more difficult. And it's going to be challenging. It's going to be a long road. But personally, I feel eventually they will reach there, and there are reasons to it. With this acquisition, they are in a position where they are controlling 1/4 of the market than the minuscule market which they were controlling before. And as and when over the next 2 to 3 years, they get to a point where they can merge this and form a larger airline, that's when they would be in a commanding position to make that change happen towards profitability.
Ameya, what does Air India need to do, or what do the Tatas need to do with Air India to ensure that they, really turn it around and at a fast pace, in terms of changes? For example, we've already heard of, better meal service, for instance, directions to the staff, to the cabin crew. What are some of the bigger changes that you can already anticipate they'll have to make to the airline?
I think the bigger changes would be on the aircraft hardware part. The government has been holding back their spending on repairing the aircraft. So typical things which you've seen in the past with Air India on broken seats or broken armrest and so on, I think that will be the immediate fixes. The money will be pumped in towards getting aircraft up and running into the air. So these are all a mix of hard and soft product, with a huge large group of hotels behind them trying to change the service offerings which are there, upgrading how the greetings go out and how the service spans out. From there to minor fixes on the hardware side is what I see happening immediately. The least that will happen is actually tinkering with the routes and seeing new stations or closing old stations. I think that requires a lot of data analysis, and getting into that comes in later.
Giving us a sense of the scale of the task at hand here. Ameya, with a quarter, when 25% plus of market share, how much pricing power are we going to see the Tatas have now when it comes to the aviation market?
Question. Currently, if you see 15 days, you are capped by the government. You cannot change prices in D plus 15 days. But beyond that, I think there will be a lot of effort done to have sale in place to ensure that you start seeing revenue, forward revenue, and after that slowly try and differentiate and inch over and above their regular offerings and make it as close as possible to Vistara, and then have the clear distinction that you have two full service carriers in the country, and this is where the pricing is versus all the low cost carriers. But for that to happen, they need to slowly start showing the difference in terms of service and the hard product, because it's about asking people to pay that some amount more to ensure that you are getting a better experience than what you would with somebody else. And I think the best way to any Indian is by means of food, and that's where they are starting from. So food is something which is attractive to all of us, and it seems they've picked up the right thing to start with.